Hey everybody, Coach Toolshed here, and today I want to discuss one of the videos I did last week about the EA Game Changers program, specifically in regards to Anthem and how EA is using their promotional material and the Game Changer program to promote that game. And I got a lot of questions and a lot of people brought up some points, and I think a lot of people just missed the purpose of the video that I made last week. They didn't understand the topic, or they just read the thumbnail and started typing in the comments, because a lot of people seem to totally miss what I was getting at, and they seem to conflate a few of the issues together and start making arguments against some stuff that I didn't even say. So I want to address some of that stuff right now. Now, one of the first things that people were critical about is they thought that I was trying to conflate the EA Game Changers on their streams, opening all the FIFA card packs and trying to say that those card packs were going to be in Anthem. If you go back and listen to the video, I never once said that that was going to be the case. People thought that that's what I was implying. That's not what I was implying. The purpose and the topic of that video was specifically to discuss the Game Changer program and to sort of warn people about where they're getting their information from currently at this time, because when you see all these exclusive stories, we have to be careful and understand where this information is coming from. And I know a lot of people were like, well, who doesn't know that? Everyone knows that. All these companies do that. Well, no, not everyone does know that, and that's why I'm trying to show this stuff to people, because not everyone is aware of what an EA Game Changer means. And I also had a lot of people saying, well, I know this person and this person, they're EA Game Changers, and I got no problem with them. Well, that's fine. Some of the people that you guys listed, I actually do have a problem with, and some of the people that I was talking about in my earlier video are people that I personally have seen over time turn into people that I know, or not turn into, but just they are people that I know personally. I don't trust their opinion, because I know that they will just hammer a game and hammer a game and hammer a game. And as soon as the next Games as a Service title comes down the road, bang, they're right on to the next one. And so that's the sort of person that I am not going to take my opinion from. But I know that a lot of people do watch these channels. When they have 500,000 subscribers, obviously they have a substantial subscriber base, and they'll just latch onto the next developer and just try to get as many clicks as possible. And they'll just start putting out daily content of that. And then they'll be like, oh, big shock, I'm getting flown out to this event. I'm getting this private viewing. I'm getting this exclusive content from the developer. I'm getting maybe an interview with the developer and all this stuff. And then they turn around and start putting out videos. Oh, these are my brutally honest thoughts about the game. No, they're not. They're not brutally honest. They're not unbiased, certainly. And this is the problem, is that some people aren't aware that this goes on all the time. And people are like, oh, don't you know every company does it? Yeah, lots of them do. And when they do it, I talk about them too. I don't have a problem. I'm not singling out EA or Anthem. I think a lot of people thought that, or people thought that I was attacking Bioware. And let's get into that. So people are like, oh, I understand you're going to go, you don't like EA, but you have to give Bioware a chance. I mean, come on, it's Bioware. And to that I say, why do I have to bow down to Bioware just because it's Bioware? Their heyday, I think if you took an informal poll, you would think that their maybe heyday was back in 2009, 2010 with Dragon Age Origins and Mass Effect 2. And I would put the assertion forward for myself personally, and I don't think I would be alone in this, is that Bioware's been on a decline for the last decade. And I know people want to say, oh, forget about Andromeda, that was not their main team. Okay, well, I would still say that Mass Effect 3 for me wasn't as good as Mass Effect 2, and Dragon Age Inquisition I think was really bad. I think that was a really, really boring RPG. One of the most boring, tedious, chore-like RPGs I've ever played. It's one of the only RPGs that I just quit, uninstalled, quit. Won't go back to. I know some people like it. Some people really like it. That I'm sorry. I really dislike Dragon Age Origins, so I'm not like worshiping at the altar of Bioware. If you are a fan of their work, that's fine. You also should have noticed in the last video, I never said Anthem was going to be a bad game. It might be fine. The combat might be fine. Maybe you will enjoy it. What I'm trying to caution people is to not just get carried away on the hype train, but so many people obviously are. Some people are already totally bought in, and it's obvious from some of the comments I got that they just don't care. And that's one of the other issues, is that some people are just riding a straight fanboy hype train. They're exhibiting all the behavior. They've never played the game, but they've seen videos, and they've been convinced by the marketing that this game is going to be good. And this is what I'm trying to advise against. That's all, and that was the entire purpose of the previous video, is to urge caution about where you're getting your info and where it's coming from. That's all. Because history has shown that, especially with these games as a service titles from these AAA publishers, and even from smaller publishers, smaller developers, over the years, history has shown that these type of games promise the sun, moon, and stars, and they almost always fail to deliver, especially at launch. We don't have to go very far at all to go back and see people that were, oh, I've been waiting for this game for years. Oh, I can't wait to play this game. Have you seen the gameplay? Oh, the developers have been totally open with us. Oh, we saw some gameplay. Oh, there's a lot of gameplay footage, and the people who played it said it's awesome, and you don't know what you're talking about. This cycle has repeated itself so many times. I don't understand how or why people will still just latch onto it and be convinced by it. It is truly baffling. I don't know how many games and how many times we need to be lied to and misled before people will wake up and understand that these AAA publishers and the developers will say anything they have to make as many week one sales as possible. Because most of the sales for the game lifetime will come within the first 2 weeks. Games like Grand Theft Auto 5 that have these tails that last for years and years are the exception. I know people will always try to point out certain games that are the rare exception. But there is no reason at all for anyone to be fully convinced that Anthem is going to be a quote-unquote great game at this point. You have, even if you played, it was the closed alpha or something, even if you've already got your hands on it, you've only had a limited slice. These type of games, you don't know what the game is really like until you've gotten to the end and you're in that end game loop. All these games are the same. I know people want to think that this is going to be some masterpiece. I don't understand why EA is the company that you think is going to be delivering it to you. Or Bioware for that matter. I know I'm repeating myself, but like I said, their peak was 10 years ago. Kind of like Bethesda. And I know, and people kept telling me, oh, you can't use Fallout 76 and Bethesda as a comparison. Why? I'm not saying Anthem is going to be bad, or certainly I hope it's not as bad as Fallout 76. And I hope that Bioware doesn't handle their public relations as bad as Bethesda has. I hope that's not the case. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, it's a very similar story and trajectory. And the arc of the studio has gone steadily downhill over the last few years. Whether you enjoyed their games or not, most people would have to agree that the peak for these studios was last decade or the end of the last decade, 10 years ago. And some people wanted to hang their hat on the fact that they're going to have the demo. Oh, you can play for a weekend. Great. There's been plenty of games also where they let us play the game early for a weekend or sometimes two. And people will love it. They can love these games in the limited window that they have. I remember a lot of people played the Destiny 1 beta period or demo period, whatever it was, and people really enjoyed it. They really loved it. And then the game launched and we were like, wait a minute, we've already seen half the game in the beta? What's going on? That's ridiculous. What happened in the Division? People got the Division, people played the beta, and people were like, oh man, yeah, I really like this. And then after people got into the game, they beat the story and they're like, oh, I'm just recycling the same handful of stories, missions over and over again. That's the whole game. Okay, after the first and second month, most of the people were gone. What about Sea of Thieves just last year? People were all hyped for that game. And then they had the period where they could play the game early. And people were like, oh, there's not much here, but you know what? The water looks great, and I'm sure they're going to have a ton of content at launch. And then the game launched, and they're like, oh no, we've already seen most of the game. And I know people are like, oh, they add stuff later. It's good later. It's good later. Well, maybe it is. But most of the players are gone. And it certainly wasn't the game that they promised or the game you thought you were going to get at launch. History is not on the side of EA and Bioware, is my point. The track record for the industry is quite poor in this regard. Quite poor. What about Red Dead Online? Look at the state that launched in. People are like, oh, that's just a beta. Yeah, it's just a beta. That's just a beta. That sort of nonsense too. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it for any game. Like I said, I'm not singling out EA and Anthem and Bioware. This goes for all of these companies. I wouldn't trust any company in this position. I was just highlighting EA and Anthem specifically because that's the new game that all these people. That is what my inbox is getting filled with still. And that was the only reason I made that video. That was the purpose of it. I hope maybe this clears some stuff up. I'm sure people are still going to be mad. Because they always are. Whenever a game is about to come out, you have people who are just so convinced it's going to be good that they will go to bat for that game no matter what. It doesn't matter. Oh, you had something negative to say about a game that I'm convinced is going to be good? Downvote. Don't you understand? You're a moron. Yeah, I get it. You're convinced the game's going to be good. And maybe it will be. I never said otherwise. I'm just saying, hold your horses, cool your jets, whatever you want to say. Come on, guys. It's not that hard. History shows you should be wary of this game, not hyped. That's all I'm saying. I'm Coach Toolshed. Let me know what you guys have to say down in the comments below. I'm sure things will get spicy once again. Got a death threat last time because, people are just mad. So if I end up dead, it was Pedro. Okay? Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you guys later. Please subscribe if you want to stay in tune with the channel headed forward. And as always, keep it turned to 11.